Yeah. Hi. Hello, everyone. This is Shanmugaraj. Welcome to my channel. One of the aims of this channel is to build a global knowledge sharing platform in the domains of leadership, project management, and agile. You can join me and help me with that either by subscribing to this channel or sharing my videos to our friends. Right? So, having said that, let us get into today's topic. Currently, we are discussing some of the leadership ideas from MIT Sloan School of Management. Today's topic is Rise of Geek Companies. This particular article, new book explains the a geek way to manage a company, has been published in MIT yesterday. This particular article is excerpt from a new book written by Andrew McAfee, who talks about rising dominance of geek-run organizations from 2002 to 2022. In his new book, The Geek Way, the radical mindset that drives extraordinary results, MIT Sloan principal research scientist Andrew McAfee makes the case that self-out geeks, many of them worked in the tech space, have created a new business culture that is fast-moving, egalitarian, evidence-driven, argumentative, and autonomous. McAfee, who is a co-director of the MIT Initiative on the Digital Economy, argues that the geek way of management delivers excellent performance while offering employees a work environment that features high levels of autonomy and empowerment. In this excerpt, he presents evidence that geeks are building better companies and that markets are valuing them more highly. So this article has been edited for clarity and length. Let's look at my claim that geek companies are excellent performers. One way to test that claim is to see if the regions with the highest concentrations of geek companies also have most high performing companies. The test is not perfect. It could be the non-geek companies in those regions that are high performance, but it tells us if you're on the right track. For public companies, a primary measure of performance is market capitalization, how much they are worth in the eyes of investors. If the geeks are really are building better companies, then the market should be valuing them highly. Share prices tend to fluctuate as investors react to new information, but over the long term, share prices generally reflect the actual ability of the companies to succeed. As Warren Buffett famously put it, in the short run, the market is a voting machine. In the long run, it's a weighing machine. Here is how the US stock market has weighed its largest companies' prospects at 2 points in time 20 years apart. We are going to see a visualization of 100 most valuable publicly traded companies in the country at the end of 2002. Each company is represented by a bubble, the size of which is proportional to its market capitalization. The bubbles are separated into two bunches based on the location of the company's headquarters. The bunch on the left contains the West Coast companies, the most of which are headquartered in Northern California. The bunch on the right contains companies headquartered anywhere else in the US. Bubbles are shaded based on how old they are, with youngest companies having darkest shading. Bubbles with block borders represents companies in tech industries. The visualization shows that end of 2002, the West Coast was home to a cluster of large tech companies that were comparatively young. However, the most big companies were elsewhere. 84 of the 100 large companies were outside the West Coast, as was more than 80% of total stock market value of this group. America's large company landscape was dominated by names that has been around for a while, like Citigroup, JP Morgan, the American International Group in Financial Services, Merck, Pfizer, and Johnson Johnson in life sciences, IBM in information technology, and the General Electric conglomerate. This picture talks about 100 most valuable US companies grouped by headquarters location in the year of 2002. If you look at this picture, most of the companies were outside the West Coast, dominated by companies like Walmart, Pfizer, Merck, Johnson Johnson kind of companies, which were non-geek companies. Now, let's look at the same map at the end of 2022, which was a brutal year for lots of companies. The tech-heavy Nasdaq index dropped by almost a third in 2022, its worst performance in more than 2 decades, and companies including Amazon, Tesla, and Netflix lost 50% or more of their market capitalization. So, how did our map look at the end of 2022? If you look at this picture, in the year of 2022, 100 most valuable US companies grouped by headquarters. Most of the companies are in the West Coast, dominated by companies like Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, and many more. Even after tech's brutal 2022, at the end of the year, our Northern California circle, which contains less than 0.1% of America's land, was still by far the hottest spot in the country for highly valuable companies. Thanks to Amazon and Microsoft, the Seattle area also stood out. Meanwhile, the rest of the country had not demonstrated much of an ability to grow large tech companies or large young companies. In fact, most of the bubbles in the right-hand bunch did not grow much at all from 2002 to 2022 after taking inflation into account. By the end of 2022, the West Coast bunch contained almost as much large company stock market value, which is 47%, as did the rest of the country, 53%. If you look across the Atlantic Ocean to the continent that was the birthplace of Industrial Revolution, the comparison is even more stark. At the end of 2022, the market capitalization of all public companies in our Northern California circle was more than half as big as stock market value of European Union and UK combined, a rich region of over 500 million people. Asia's landmass and population are both enormous, yet the market cap of all its public companies is less than large, 4 times larger than the market cap of companies in our circle. The towns of Silicon Valley feel like sleepy suburbs, but they have become the world's epicenter of capitalist value creation. Companies founded there have disrupted industries ranging from advertising to media and entertainment to consumer electronics to automobile making. They have come up with world-changing innovations like search engines and smartphones, and the market anticipates that they will continue to innovate and grow. Remember, the market capitalization of a company does not reflect its history. It's instead investors' estimate of company's future financial prospect. Some of these companies have become so large and powerful that they are now attracting antitrust scrutiny in America and elsewhere. The standard explanation of this remarkable performance is that Silicon Valley is the center of US tech industry. which profited greatly as the business world digitalized. There is some truth to this explanation, but as we have seen, tech is no longer a meaningful way to categorize companies. So I'm telling you a different story about the creation of all that value inside our circle. Instead of focusing on the growth of an industry called tech, my story is about the rise of a corporate culture called geek. My story is not about strategy, but that's not because strategy is irrelevant. It's critical, and the companies represented by those big 2022 bubbles have made all sorts of smart strategic moves. As the saying goes, though culture eats strategy for breakfast, some companies can successfully execute strategy they come up with, some can't. The differences between these two types are largely cultural. With this, we have come to the conclusion of this particular video. Hope you guys got a better understanding how by running a geek way of managing a company can help a better market capitalization, a faster growth in the industries. We have seen the comparison of 2002 where most of the non-geek companies were dominating the market. In 2022, it is entirely opposite how companies like Microsoft and Apple, who built geek way of managing people or geek management of running a company, has arisen so fast, right, and very robust as well. It is going to continue to run the same show as we expect. All right. I hope you guys like these kind of videos that helps you to become a better leader in our own way of running a company. All right. So with that, I'm signing off. See you in next video.